Almost 3 months now since the election, and people out there more stressed out than ever.
So how do we deal with this daily anxiety so many are feeling?
All right, joining us now to talk about this, licensed clinical and forensic psychologist, Pepperdine Psychology Professor, Dr. Judy Ho. It's almost like the election just never ended, because there's a time when there's kind of like a calming period, there's unity, and everybody's like, oh, okay, let's come together and figure out what we're doing next. And now it just keeps, it's so intense.
That's right. Everybody is still in fight or flight, and our bodies are not designed. Yeah, we're not designed to have that sort of high level stress for so long. You know, back in the old days, you have stress for a period of time, then you're safe for a little while. And I think people are still feeling like there's a learned helplessness. They're still trying to understand the situation. They still feel activated. And that's why people are tired. They're feeling overwhelmed. There's so much information coming at them at once, and they can't process it all. And so what we call that is cognitive load. It's too much on our brains.
Cognitive load. Well, also there's so much information out there. There's not only TV and news, there's social media. And your friends, if they call you on the telephone, I have one friend who calls me and says, we're not talking politics.
Yes.
And then starts a conversation.
Of course, it just goes there. And I think that speaks to the fact that multitasking is really a myth. We've found from recent studies that we really can't multitask very well. So if you're at the same time looking on your Twitter, hearing your friend talk on the phone about this, and also watching the news, it's really too much. So my first recommendation is you just got to choose one medium to stay informed and limit your time on it. Watch one news program. Be on Twitter for 20 minutes.
And then get a life.
And then, yes, please go out and live your life.
I read this other article that talked about that people are really feeling the effects of this. They're talking about loss of sleeps, headaches, irritability, loss of appetite.
Yes.
I mean, just because of they're just getting barraged by all of this and stressed out about the world that we live in.
All symptoms of high cognitive load. When that happens, we have almost no cognitive capacity left to have emotion regulation skills. And so our brains, you can't keep running them into the ground like our bodies. It's the same exact thing. After running a bit, you have to rest, right? After exercising, you have to rest. It's the same thing with our brains. So if you continually barrage it with information, you are going to limit your ability to actually manage your own distress. And oftentimes that distress comes out in the body because we're not talking about it, and it has to come out somewhere, and our body and minds are inexorably connected.
Do you think that people on both sides of the aisle are feeling equal stress, even though, let's say, Republicans are feeling a win? You still have these protests that seem to be ongoing that can be stressful to watch as well.
Absolutely. So if you are somebody who is against Trump, then, you know, your idea right now is to try to attack and try to find out how he's going to, you know, mess something up so that you're preparing yourself for it. If you're somebody who is supporting Trump, you're always on the defense, trying to defend his actions and trying to make sense of them. And so either way, no matter what part of the line you are on, you're going to be stressed at this time, and you're on high guard. That whole sort of like fight or flight situation I was talking about is very active for both sides.
I also read that children are very knowledgeable sort of what is going on in the world, and they too are getting a little bit more stressed about this. Does that surprise you, A? And how much should our children know? You know, I guess it also depends on the age. You know, taking them to these protests or the marches, and they go home. Is it good to get them active in these sorts of things?
Well, I think some activity is helpful because it helps us to decrease that learned helplessness so many people are feeling right now. So taking action in your own way. For some people, it might mean calling their representative. It might mean writing an op-ed. It might mean writing a little post on Facebook. And so do something age appropriate with your child if this is important to you and you want to teach them skills to sort of live their own life when they're adults as well. But how much should children know right now, and how much should this be their business? I see, as you were mentioning, that children are more stressed and that this is the source of their stress. So that's something new. We don't really see that. That political knowledge and what's going on in the political world is what is a source of stress for even younger children in these elementary years. And so I think that you do need to be age appropriate about it. You do have to shield your child in some ways, and you have to expose them to other types of interesting activities.
Dr. Judy Ho, thank you so much.
Thanks as always, Dr. Ho.
And maybe don't have the news on all day. Just at 5.
Coming up here is another way